Ta-da! I hope you enjoyed that amazing music right there. Hope you enjoyed it. You'll notice I'm wearing a cycling helmet today. I wasn't kidding when I said I was going to mix the hats up, you know. And I figured, like, after Yuzo Koshiro's incredible soundtracks there, I needed some form of protection because that was intensity 9,000, right? I mean, this bike, I'm probably going to remove the helmet because it's all well and good when you're riding. It's maybe not that comfortable just sat at your computer, but we'll see how it goes. Cool. So when last we met, we had the beginnings of a Hangman game, right? And I've got some pseudocode down here. Let's make the code a bit bigger so it's easier for you to see. That'll do. Cool. So let's just run this. Let's run this code here. And we've got this stuff here. It's chosen a word at random. We want to guess a letter. First letter I would probably choose is E. E is not in there. T, maybe? No, there's no T. A. Oh, God, there's got to be some vowels in here, right? I, maybe. No. A, E, I, O. There's an O in there. Right. We're probably fairly close to death now, except we're not actually keeping track of that. P, I want to say. No. Did I say S? I can't remember. Oh, I definitely said T because it's told me you've already guessed that one. Okay, so there's some functionality that we obviously baked in. W. Nope. L. K. What word could this possibly be? M. R. Y. Oh, we got a Y. Do we say M? We've already guessed M. N. Already guessed N. Z. J. D. Body. Well, that obviously, if this was a real game of Hangman, we would have lost a long time ago. However, what I want you to have a think about right now is the features that we've got in here so far. We've got it choosing a word at random. We've got it listing the word with any correct letters that we've guessed. We've also got it obviously telling us whether or not we've guessed the letter. Can anyone think of any additional functionality that I mean, besides the fact that we're not suffering if we get it wrong, is there anything else that we could do to the program as it stands to sort of improve the feedback to the user? I mean, just looking at what we've done, what each time, yeah. So a counter of lives in the corner, right? Now, if you think about it, when you play Hangman, when you get it wrong, you draw another bit of the Hangman, right? That incomplete Hangman picture is your track of lives in the corner, so to speak. So we will be adding that. That's one thing, okay? What other information each turn do you think the user should have? I mean, imagine you're playing a game of Hangman. What do you keep track of? You keep track of the word. You keep track of what letters go into the word. What else besides the actual Hangman itself, yes, display your guesses. So we need to show which letter we've guessed. Because it's all well and good having this functionality that says, oh, you've already guessed that one. It would be really nice if we could say to the users, oh, here's all of the letters that you've guessed so far. Okay, so with that in mind, that's what we're going to have a look at in just a moment. Let's just quickly go through what we've got here. We're importing the random module so that we can randomly select things. We've got choose word is our function which opens our file which contains our list of words. It reads all of the words that are in there. It randomly chooses one and then it returns that thing. Sound might be a good idea as well. A little bit of feedback. That's a feature for a future update. We'll get onto that. We've got display word. My notes here say displays a word with the letters replaced by underscores, except where those letters have already been guessed. So it takes two arguments, one called word and one called guessed letters. And I've got a little warning saying shadows name word from outer scope. What that basically means is I've got a variable outside of this function with that same name, which is generally a bad idea, but it won't cause any errors. And we've got the list of guessed letters. So we know we're keeping track of which letters have been guessed, right? And let's have a look at what this function does. It goes through the whole word. If the letter exists in our guessed letters list, then it's going to go into the output string. Otherwise, it's just going to stick an underscore in there. Okay, so we're not actually changing anything here. This is literally just display. Okay, can you see how important it is to write comments or doc strings here? Because I haven't looked at this in a week or so. I know I wrote it, but that doesn't necessarily mean I can remember exactly what's going on. I write a lot of programs, right? And so having the documentation here, it's a good way to remind yourself of what's going on in your program. So get into the habit of writing comments. Folder of the parts of the Hangman. When you get it wrong, it switches. Shown on the screen. Yeah, so we're going to get the display done. We're limited in what we can do because we're just using text output, but we'll cross that bridge. Then we've got this function guess letter. Asks the user to guess a letter, checks if it's valid. So there's our rules for validation, and basically all this does is go through and checks the letters for validation. It checks to make sure that they've actually typed a letter in. It checks to make sure that they've typed just one letter and not multiple letters. It's checked to make sure that the letter actually exists in the alphabet. It has checked to make sure that it's not already being guessed. And then if it makes it through that gauntlet, it returns the letter. So it's either going to return false or it's going to return the letter, which equates to true. Okay, so there's our functions. And then down here, where obviously this is the bit that we're going to change for the most part, because this was me hastily cobbling it together to check that what we got works, right? So down here, let's have a look. We'd already done the bit where we randomly select a word. That's cool. So guess a letter in that word. If the letter is in the word, show the position of the letter in the word. Okay, so we've got functions that do that. Otherwise, increase progress along the execution pathway. All right, so that means lose a life, basically. Right, so to start off with, and this is my thought process here, guess letters is going to keep track of what we've guessed. Word is the word that has been chosen. So that ain't going to change. That's going to be added to, but that's all sorted out. So we kind of got some code here. We also should have a, let's call it death track. Let's start death track at 0. Okay, so that is the account of how many lives we have lost, or how far along the execution pathway, which sounds like something you'd hear at a business conference. So let's just do a quick modification to our game loop here. We're going to display the word, and after that we said we wanted to display the letters, right? So if I just do something like this, print guessed letters, when I run it, that's going to look kind of ugly. Like if I run my game here, you can see my guessed letters, it's still displaying as a list. So if I guess the letter E, okay, E's not in there, but E is in our guessed letters now. I mean, that's functional, right? But it's kind of horrible to look at. I don't really like that very much. So what we can do is format the guessed letters. Instead of just displaying guessed letters like that, why don't we make it look a little bit nicer? We'll put spaces in between them, and we'll just join it all together. We should probably also have something like this. You've already guessed the following, like that. Okay, so cool. When I run it there, okay. Anyone see a problem here already? Just sound off in the comments if you do. Let's go for an E. No. Let's go for a T. Go for an A. Okay, we've got an A. D. You've already guessed the following. It did. I mean, I can see a couple of issues here. Let me know if there's any particular issues that you can spot with the list of letters we've already guessed. Come on, is it barred? No. Banned, maybe. Yay, we guessed it. And obviously, there's another problem with the program here in that once we guessed it, it doesn't actually end. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And so, has anyone got any issues with the way that we're displaying this list? Yeah, it is showing letters that are correct too. Now, we can have a filter on this same line, but what we should really do is create our own function to display the guessed letters. So what we want to do is display the guessed letters which are not already in the word, and yeah, we should probably space it out maybe, but let's just create a new function here. Okay, so def display. Should we call it? Let's call it display letters. We're going to need two arguments for this. We are going to need the word itself, because we need to know what letters are already in the word, and we are going to need the list of guessed letters as well. Okay, and so let's actually put a colon on the end there. We're going to say something along the lines of print. You have already guessed the following. Okay. Maybe we should start with a new line just to separate it. So let's do that. Now, what we want to do is we want to display all of the letters which have already been guessed. Maybe we should put some commas in between them as well. So we'll do something like this. I'm going to show you a little bit of fancy code here. So just before do we all understand how the join syntax works? Right? We have a string. That string there is going to be the glue that sits in between each of the things in our list. So my list is ETADKBRN. in my previous code, I had a space and then dot join. So each of those things is joined together using that space. If I put a comma and a space, it means that each of the things is going to be joined together using a comma and a space. That's effectively the glue that joins them all together. Okay, dot join. Now, if I just do it like this, what was it? Guest letters. What that's going to do is it's going to join together every letter in the guest letters list, and it's going to join them together with a comma in there. Okay. Now, just to show you that functionality in action, let's just change this thing here. So instead of having that there, what do we call it? Display letters. Display letters, and we're passing word, and we're passing guest letters. And you're probably thinking, oh, why are we passing word? We haven't even used it. It's like, don't worry, we'll get to that point. We'll use it. So if I just run the program now, let's have a look. So first of all, there's a little bit of an issue. You've already guessed the following, and there's nothing there. All right, fair enough. We can sort that out. That's a slight modification to our function here. If I now guess a letter, okay. Does anyone see the silly mistake that I've made? Why are we not actually getting any output here? Why is it not actually showing us any of the letters that I've guessed? Give you a clue, it's on line 56. I'm taking this helmet off because it's uncomfortable. Yeah, I didn't put print on there. What an absolute muppet I am. It shows either how stupid I am, or it shows how tired I am, or it just shows that everybody can make silly mistakes. So we're going to print. Let's print all of that out, and we'll restart the program. Stop and rerun. Cool. So you've already guessed the following, and it's not showing us anything, so we haven't actually guessed anything. We can fix that so it doesn't actually show that at all if we haven't guessed anything, but we'll see about that. Guess a letter, E. Right. So you've already guessed the following, E. Let's guess another one. You've already guessed the following, T. So you can see how this it's joining together all those letters in that list with the comma. Right? Does that make sense? Does this line of code here make sense to everyone? Because I appreciate it's a fairly weird looking way of doing things, and there's a lot of people on the internet that complain about the syntax of the join function. But do we get what's going on there? Because I'm about to make it a little bit more complicated. I'm just going to get a hat. Cool, that makes sense. Right, so what we actually want to do, because we don't want it to display the letters that are already in the word, because we can see that, yeah? And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to use something called a list comprehension here. And I'll tell you what, I'll type it out and then I'll explain what's going on. Is that gonna work? Right, let's letter for letter in guest letters. Can I do the if on the end here? If letter in word. Boom. There's a convoluted line of code. Let's just double check that it works. Let's guess a letter. E is bound to be in there. E is definitely in there. Wicked. It's not printed E down there. If I guess a T, T is okay. So there's a slight problem here that I've just noticed, because it should be not in Word. I'm kind of building this plane as I fly it. I don't want a 3-letter word. That's Okay, 4-letter word. So I guess an E. E is not in there, so it's printed E down there. I guess a T. T is also not in there, so it's printed the T down there. Come on, give me a letter that's actually in there. A is in there. So now you can see it's printed the A, because that's part of the word. It's printed the E and the T down here, because they are not part of the word. Okay, so let's just quickly analyze this line of code and work out exactly what's going on here. Right, I'm not going to explain print and I'm not going to explain join at the moment. I'm just going to explain this bit here that I've got highlighted. Right, you can see we have open square bracket there, we've got a closing square bracket there, which means we are creating a list. Anytime you have open square brackets and closing square brackets, anything inside, we're effectively creating a list. Okay, that list is made up from this rule here, right? The list is made up of every letter which is in guessed letters, right? This is essentially a for loop. This is like saying for each letter in guessed letters, okay, assign it to this temporary variable letter, right? And then we are going to add it to this list that we're generating on the fly, but only if it's not in the word. Okay? Take some time to go over that to see if it makes sense, right? So we're going through our guessed letters list, and every item in there, each time we go through, we're assigning that item to this temporary variable letter. And then once we've done that, we can add that letter to our list, but only under this condition here. So if the letter is not in the word, it's going to be added to this list that we're generating. If the letter is in the word, we skip it, we don't add it to that list. Which means that by the time we've done that, we will have a list. This is effectively automatically generating a list containing every letter in our list of guessed letters which doesn't appear in the word. Once we've got that list, we can join them together using exactly the same syntax as we had before, and then we print it out. Does that make sense to people, or do you want me to break it down and explain it in a little bit more detail? Yeah, makes sense, says James. Cool. What about anyone else? James gets it. Anyone else need a helping hand pointing at that? Yeah, just need to make a note of it. That's fine. I mean, list comprehensions are one of the coolest things about Python. You can do some real voodoo with them. I'm pretty sure I've sent you some examples of my one-line programs. They make extensive use of list comprehensions and lambda functions as well, which I ain't going to get into here because that's a that makes your head go funny. Hello, Mantis. Oi, is that how you pronounce your that last name there? If just tuned in, what we have been doing is going through our Hangman game. We've just added this new function called display letters, right? Well, I mean, that's if we're talking German, that's Europa, right? Anyway, here we go. Now, the other thing that's annoying me about this so far is it's printing out our letters, right? But look at this here. You've already guessed the following. If we haven't actually guessed anything yet, then it still displays you've already guessed the following. We don't want to actually do that if the list of guessed letters is empty. So here's what we can do. We can say if len guessed letters is greater than 0, then we can print this stuff out. Yeah, so it's only actually going to display that information about the letters we've already guessed if we've already actually guessed a letter. So the first time we go through it, it's not going to happen. Let's just stop and rerun to test that. You can see here, it just says guess a letter. It doesn't say you've already guessed these ones because we haven't actually guessed anything yet. So I'm going to guess T. And now it kicks in, it says you've already guessed the following. Okay, we're getting closer to a nice usable. Oh, that was quite loud, wasn't it? There we go. We're getting closer to a nice usable Hangman game. So we've got the displayed letters. The other thing that we said we needed to do was keep track of how many deaths there were. Right. So we're displaying the word. We're displaying the letters. We then probably want to display. I'll tell you what. Let's display the number of deaths so far. Obviously, we're going to change this to a picture of a hangman, but just to make sure that we're keeping track of it properly, we can, for now, do this. Print. No. Learn to type, Smith. There we go. You have made bad guesses. And we are going to put death track in there. Okay, so it's going to tell us how many bad guesses we've made, but also it still shows a blank list if your first letter is right. Yeah, that's correct. Because remember, we're when it says you've already guessed the following, we're only interested in the ones that are not in the word. Yeah, that's how Hangman works. I mean, you rather than saying you've already guessed the following, you could change that to say letters not in the word. In fact, let's do that. Let's say letters not in the word. I'll leave that G in there. Makes it sound gangster. Letters not in the word, G. Okay. I'm going to put Z in there because that's unlikely to be in there. So you can see there, it now says letters not in the word. But that wasn't what we were testing. Let's stop and rerun. Hopefully there's an E in here. Oh. You'll notice it still says you've made 0 bad guesses. That's because we haven't actually increased that. I'm just going to... Do you know what I'm going to do in a second if this doesn't work? It's got to be an E in there. There we go. So you can see... Oh, I see what you're getting at now, Ben. I see what you're getting at. Good spot on that, because if the letter is in the word, right, that means that length of guessed letters is going to be greater than 0. But if all the letters you've guessed are already in the word, then we don't want to do that. I can think of a way to fix it though. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all of this stuff out here, right? And I am going to say, I'm going to create a new variable called dead letters. Okay, so dead letters is going to be generated by going through all of the guessed letters, and it's all the ones that are not in the word, right? So now we're saying if the length of dead letters is greater than 0, then we're going to print it out. Yeah, good spot, Ben. Well done. Oh no, what have I done? Oh, I'm an idiot. We want to join dead letters in there. You've made 0. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? Just to force the issue here. No, I shouldn't do it there. I am going to do it here. Top tip for testing. If you've got something that randomly chooses your word and you want to be able to test it without having to randomly guess what the word is, there's 2 ways of doing it. You can either manually assign the word if there's specific letters that you want to test for, or you can get it to print out the word as well. I'm going to manually set the word. The word I know is lemon, right? So I can put an E in there. You've made 0 bad guesses. It's still now not displaying that stuff there. That's cool. If I put something that's not in the word, like a T, now we get that displaying. Cool. We're back on track. Cool. So let's have a look at how we keep track of these bad guesses, right? So we've made 0 bad guesses. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So while not valid guess equals guess letter. Guest letters dot append valid guess. We might have to actually rethink the way that we do this. We might have to generate dead letters down here. Sort of painted myself into a corner here by trying to be fancy because we're always passing the word and the guest letters around here. At no point do we check when we input the stuff, we're basically saying, oh yeah, cool, that's a letter, send it back, and we don't actually have anything to check whether it's but we could okay, so let's create a we just need to have an if statement in here, don't we? We can just put it down here. So we can say something like if valid guess not in word what did I call death track plus equals 1. Okay, so regardless of what happens, we're still going to add our the letter that we've guessed to our list of guessed letters, but then we just say if that letter is not in the word, we're going to increase the death track by 1. Okay, which should work, right? That sounds fair enough. I mean, I might consider farming some of this stuff out into a separate function, but okay, it's sort of working. Let's have a look. Let's guess an E there. I've made 0 bad guesses. Excellent. I've put an X in there. That's definitely a bad guess, right? You've made 1 bad guesses, so it's definitely keeping track of the bad guesses that we've made. A T is not in there, so that's 2 bad guesses. Now an I. Okay, this is cool, right? We're almost done. We need to decide how many bad guesses we're allowed before it's game over, and then we can start doing some funky artwork. I want to know what this word is though. What a weird word. Any ideas? Did I say R? Let's put an R in there. No. So far I've made 6 bad guesses. And one way that we can check this, the number of bad guesses should be equal to the number of letters we've got in our list of letters that are not in there. Are you winning? I mean, sort of. It's impossible to lose at this point. What letter? Surely we want to not show the bad guesses if we have no bad guesses. Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But bear in mind what we're going to be doing is we're not going to say you have made such and such bad guesses. What we're actually going to be doing is displaying part of a Hangman. We're going to have a list of ASCII art Hangman images, and we're going to display those. Okay. That's what we're going to be doing. All right. At the moment, I sort of want to know what this word is. Already guessed M. N. Y. Come on, man. I'm just going through every letter on my keyboard now. This is not a word. This word doesn't exist. Oh. I mean, obviously, if this was a real game of Hangman, we would have hung a long time. What? Oh, of course it's equal. Good. I'm glad we. I'm glad we did that. Right. Okay. So, as Ben quite rightly pointed out, in a game of Hangman, you don't draw numbers on there saying, "Oh, that's how many bad guesses you've made," right? But what we're actually going to do here is we're going to draw a hangman. Okay. Now this is going to be the longest of our functions. It's going to be the longest of our functions, but not because it's like, you know, particularly complicated. It's going to be the longest because it's going to contain all of our ASCII artwork. Okay. There's an error in my program, and every time I type a letter, it doesn't think I have typed one. So I have to double type the same letter. That kind of makes sense. The bit where it checks your letters is around here in your main loop, and also the validation your guess letter function. Those are the places to check. Although I'm not sure when you say it doesn't think you've typed one. I wonder if that's down to maybe you've put greater than 2 there, perhaps. Because if I put greater than 2 there, then when I type a letter like that, it says no. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Or it might be that you've put less than there. That would cause the error, I think. If I type a letter here, it says no, that still works. My validation is so unbelievably on point. That would have to be less than 2. If the length of the letter is less than 2, that would cause it to happen. See, type a single letter, and if I put TT, okay, to answer your question, Jenny, without looking at your code, I don't know how to fix the problem. Is the short answer. If you could maybe drop a screenshot explaining the problem in the Discord, that would be super useful. I'll be able to have a look at it there. But in the meantime, let's have a look at the hangmans. Now, oh no, I did have a file with all of my hangman ASCII art in there, but I think it might have I might have accidentally deleted it, but never mind. So we're going to create a function called display gallows. Anyone know what gallows means? Here's your tier 2 vocabulary here. Anyone know? Gallows. Let's find the... By the way, I'm on my other desktop. Here we go. I found the hangmans. Cool. Gallows, where the guy is hanged. Yes. The gallows. That's your thing. Where your man gets hung. That's the thing that you gradually draw. in Hangman, right? So we're going to create a list called artwork. Okay, and we're going to do it in a kind of a weird way, right? Because this is not something that's going to go in a line. We're creating ASCII art. Now, I'll level with you, because of the way we're doing this, this is going to kind of look a mess, okay? All of this ASCII art is in the Discord. You'll notice what I've used triple quotes here so that I can just have multiple lines. If I didn't use triple quotes, I could do each line individually, and it might make it line up a little bit nicer. But anyway, I mean, I'm doing this for speed, really. So there's the first piece of artwork. That's what our gallows is going to look like to start off with. We have the ground and we have an upright pole, right? The next one is this. Okay, so what we're and by the way, that's gonna, it looks offset because this is indented. What I might do is change it so that you can see it. No, I'll tell you what I will do. I'll create this list and then I'll copy and paste it into the Discord for you. Okay. So that's where we start off with. This is the next bit. Now, because this is slightly offset, that is actually the top. That would go across there. To show you what I mean, I could probably paste it in here. If I say print, show you what it looks like. That's what it's going to look like when it's printed out. Okay. Where on Discord is the artwork? It's in the Serious Business channel. You'll have to page up a few times. What I will do though is once I have created this, I'll just paste the whole artwork data in the Discord, so it's easier for you. Or you can create your own ASCII art masterpieces. It's up to you. But we're going to be doing this for there's about, I think, 7 different images. So I'll just get those in there for you. Maybe I'll tell you what, I'll stick this on Pastebin, and then anyone watching it anywhere can go and grab it, and I'll link it in the chat for you. Let it not be said I am not a generous man. Okay. But hopefully you see what's going on here, right? Each item inside this artwork list is basically a multi-line string. So all we have to do is print out whatever piece of artwork we have according to the death track variable. You know, simples. Right, where do we get up to? That one. Looks like we've got about 4 more of these. One. There. Look, we've got a head on there now. Two. The triple quotes means your string will span multiple lines without you having to concatenate strings together or use the new line operator. In this instance, it's, I don't know, it's not, I try and avoid it because, as you can see, it causes weird looking indentation issues, makes it fairly difficult to see what's part of the display. I mean, I can think of ways to fix it, but they're fairly time consuming, and this is the last one now. Right, so I'm going to paste this lot on Pastebin, so you can just copy and paste it into your documents. Give me a second. there. And if you go to this link, if you go to the link that I've just dropped in the chat there, you will be able to just copy and paste my artwork list into your function. Okay. Remember, you have to have that tab at the front, or the 4 spaces at the front there. All right. To answer your question about images, Ben, you can't use images on the Python console output. You can use images in Pygame, and maybe what I'll do as an extension is I'll do a further stream where we look at creating the Pygame version, which can have graphics and sound. So we'll look at that, but we're keeping things fairly simple here. So now we have our list of artwork, right? And all we really want to do is, at the end of that, we just want to print out the whatever the relevant, I mean, part of me wants to move this artwork out and have it outside of the function, but really we'll keep it in there. So we'll say print artwork, and the one that we want to print out is death track. Okay, and then maybe want to print out a new line after that as well. Like that. Okay, so now that we've got that function in there, I haven't put I should probably put a doc string in here. Displays the appropriate Hangman image according to bad guesses. Death track's an int, so we can say int death track, the number of bad guesses so far, return none. Cool. So I'm now going to replace this line here with what was the name of that function? Display gallows. Display gallows, and we have to pass the death track variable to it there. So if we have a look at our game loop now, first thing we're going to do is display the gallows. The second thing we're going to do is display the word. The third thing we're going to do is display the letters that we've guessed, and then we've got our actually checking the guess. I should this bit here I should probably farm out to a separate function. So we'll look at tidying that up if we've got time. The one thing that our game does not do yet is end when you reach a certain point, which means that now that we're actually pulling out this artwork, it means that once we get to the point where we should have lost, the game is actually going to crash. I'm aware that we're going to hit a crash point, but let's just try it out to make sure that what we've got so far definitely works. Right, here we go. Excellent, we're off to a good start. Look, cool, there is it's drawing our gallows. We've then got a blank line. There's the word, and it says guess a letter. I mean, it's not the nicest looking interface. We could add some blank lines in here and there, but let's try guessing a letter. I'm gonna guess E. E is in the word. Excellent. I don't know if you wanted to print out well done or something like that if you get it right. Now things get more difficult. I'm going to guess a B for some reason. But no, now B is not in there. You can see it's now added the next part of our Hangman gallows in there. We can see the word there. We can see the letters that are not in the word. Maybe I should have a blank line after that before it says guess a letter. Another thing that I could do is colored text. That's something that you could investigate, and you could add to this. You could have different colors for, I mean, you could have like green across here because that's the floor, and stuff like that. What are we gonna guess next? A? Maybe it's something like read. Ooh. Okay, it's not read, but I got it right. Okay, but of course, just because I've got it right, that doesn't mean that the game ends, because we've got nothing at the moment that checks whether we've won or lost. Mine gave out this. Okay. Where did you copy and paste from? Did you copy and paste from the paste bin thing that I gave you? Let me just double check something here. Because I think what you might need to do... I mean, that still kind of works. Yeah. I just copied and pasted from paste bin as well. What I recommend you do, at the bottom of paste bin, there's raw paste data. Paste the raw paste data rather than the formatted paste data at the top. Okay, so it's the raw paste data is the bit that you want. Okay, you shouldn't have all of those. Yeah, paste the raw paste data. Cool. So, fingers crossed. And of course, I will be sharing all of my code up with you as well, so you can grab all of that. What I'll do is I'll either paste the whole lot in there into Pastebin, or I'll drop it in Discord for you. So we're displaying the gallows, we're displaying our word, we're displaying our letters, and then we're doing the user entry here. The only thing left now is keep doing that until either all the letters in the word have been guessed, which is a win for the player, or the man is fully hanged, which is a loss for the player. Well, that's easy to check, but we do need to do something first. We need to set up a flag, because otherwise, while true is generally a bad idea, right? That means everything's going to run forever. I realised I've only got 8 minutes to finish this off, but we should be able to do it if we hustle, all right? Are you with me, folks? Let's hustle. I'm going to create a flag called game running. Okay, I'm going to set game running to true, which means while game running is true, I can't spell, what is going on with me? While game running is true, we're going to constantly loop around here. Okay, so instead of saying while true, we're going to say while game running. Okay, and that means we can end the game. We can end the game either as a win or a loss. Just by setting game running to false. And we're going to do this check down here, right? Maybe as well I should have another function. Yeah, I'm gonna have another function called check win. In order to check the win, we need to we need to have word passed to it. We also need to have death track passed to us. It should really be check win loss. Okay, because we're checking to see whether we've won or we've lost. If every letter in the word has been guessed, then it's a win. We can return win. Which we will probably return... No, we need to return 3 different things. Oh, I can teach you about syntactic sugar. So we are going to say... I can't remember the syntax for all. Just checking something out here. That doesn't work. What have I messed up? Oh, I see. No. Oh no. Oh no! I've killed my thing. Oh, I apologise. Give me a second. I just need to restart PyCharm. Oh, I know how to do it. No, PyCharm has not been killed. That's no good. Kill 9 pgrep PyCharm. Why is that not dying? Okay, so allegedly that should be closed, but it's not. Right, so I'm having some technical difficulties here, for which I apologise. And I'm going to try something here. Is that going to work? Is that going to work? Who knows? Has it died yet? I might have to reboot my computer, which means we might have to finish this off. In a... No, I can't. I can't do anything. Oh no! Right. Let's try this. What have we got here? PyCharm's not even in my list of processes. What? pgrep PyCharm. It'd help if I actually spelt grep correctly, wouldn't it? Right. Kill 9 18 826. Go. What? Now it says there's no such process. All right. It claims PyCharm's not running. It clearly is running. My computer is on the fritz here. Yeah, I think we're going to have to finish this on Friday. I mean, we're literally seconds away from the end. I can show you how the all syntax works. I had a momentary brain failure. But when I was testing it out, I managed to kill my whole system. So yeah, we'll finish this on Friday. We've been doing this for an hour. We're seconds away from completion. In fact, some of you might even be able to go off and finish this yourself. I will paste all of my code into Discord for you to look at. And then we can carry on with this later. And also, if we have time on Friday, might be able to. I'm just thinking I'm going to be in school on Friday morning and then I'm going to disappear Friday afternoon. We might have to do it Thursday. I know that's not when we normally have a stream, right? But if you guys are around on Thursday, we can do it then. Thursday's tomorrow, right? We can do it tomorrow. If that's cool. It's down to you guys. Anyway, sorry about the anticlimactic end there. It still claims that PyCharm is not running, and yet there it is. Let's try something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to restart my computer. So yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. Thanks very much for your time, everybody. Hopefully you're super excited about your Hangman's almost working. You can start thinking about how you are going to test the final thing. If you have not yet completed your test tables, then there is that. Are you in school all day tomorrow, Ben? If you are, I don't know. We'll sort something out. I mean, Friday's going to be difficult for me. I'm going to be sort of here and not here. So we'll sort something out. Don't worry. Even if we have to do it on I can't do it on Saturday because I'm going to be elsewhere. But we'll sort something. All right. Yes, I will have a look at your test table. Okay. Thank you, everybody. That is the end.